Hi, and welcome to Sarah Lynn Sailing. Today we're baking boat bread, so why don't you come along?
I'm sailing, sailing down that river, sailing down that river of dreams. I'm sailing down that river, but it seems that I don't know where I'm going. But when the day is through, I'll come back home to you.
We're going to start off with 3 scoops of flour. We're just using regular Robin Hood flour for this. Now you'll notice I haven't got a proper mixing bowl, but I did have a sort of a deep dish frying pan. So we're going to use that to mix up our ingredients, that's for sure. So we got 3 cups of flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of instant yeast. Instant yeast. Well, there's yeast. We've got yeast. I don't know how instant it is. 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, I have a teaspoon over here. Oh, look at this. This is 1/2 teaspoon, 1/8 of a teaspoon. What's this one? 1 teaspoon. There's a 1/4 teaspoon. All right. So we're golden here. See if we can't do this in a logical way. I don't know how accurate that has to be in terms of the formula. So there's a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. So now we're going to sort of pack that up as best we can so it doesn't get watery or anything else. All right, so what's next on the agenda? We got the yeast, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. All right, so we're gonna have a teaspoon. There's a teaspoon. Now the only salt we've got is this stuff here, so I'm hoping that this will do the job. So there's 1 teaspoon. And there's a 1/2 teaspoon. Hopefully it's not going to come out too salty. All right, so we got those 2 in there. All right, so then we have to put some water in. 1 5/8 cups of water. Well, I've got to go and get some water, so I'll be back. What I think I'll do is I'll just stir this up a little bit beforehand. Make sure this stuff gets mixed around. Just make sure it everything gets blended right. I've never made this stuff on the boat, so we're sort of making do with what we got. I'm sure that I'm not doing everything right, but well, what's the worst that's going to happen? So we've mixed that up a little bit. Now we're going to add some water in there. So they're calling for 1 5/8 cups of water. So got a little bit left over from my coffee. We'll throw that in. So I don't know if it's a bad thing that it's warm water. So probably mix better. Yeah, this looks awful. I tried this recipe at home, and it seemed to work out really well. But making it on a boat, that's a whole different ballgame. That actually looks a little dry. Maybe we should just add a little more, just a touch more water, just to be on the safe side, you know? This is a Teflon pan that we had, and it came with the boat, but unfortunately I overheated it and it kind of ruined it as a frying pan. But it does work pretty good as a mixing bowl, so figured I'd keep it. I don't know if that recipe is right or wrong, but it just seems to be awful dry. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, I don't know. If you have any suggestions, oops, leave it in the comments there, because we could always use some expert advice on baking bread. There's nothing nicer actually than fresh bread on the boat, especially if you're doing North Atlantic sailing. You know, it's a treat when you get out of come in from the cold, or if you're been on watch and you can get let's put that just down there. Nice warm bread and some butter and jam and stuff, you know, or just for breakfast. It's just really nice. It's just a real nice morale booster. And especially if you're sailing solo, you know, people forget when they sail solo that you still have to motivate your crew. Your crew is you, of course, but you have to be, you know, you have to treat yourself well so you stay positive. And food is a real contributor to that feeling of well-being and positivity. Nothing worse than eating garbage food all the time on the boat. The food gets boring, the sea gets boring, the whole experience starts not to be fun. And if you're not having fun sailing, you shouldn't be out there. Well, this is sticky stuff. I'm hoping this stuff is mixed up pretty good. I don't know if it looks good or not, but it's certainly good. This is not maybe something you want to do when you're in the middle of the ocean, if you can at all avoid it. Alright, well, I'm going to wash this stuff off. Ugh. I hate to waste all this dough, but that's the way it is. now that we've got that mixed up, now some of you guys have, you know, the proper kitchen stuff, but I'm going to see if I can find something to put over that so we can let that rest for a day. So we found a lid for this thing. Now normally you would be covering that with plastic, but hey, we don't have plastic, so that's just the way it is. So we got our dough, it's mixed up. So we're going to let this sit for maybe 8 to 12 hours until it rises, and then we'll see what we can do from there. So there's our dough, there's our oiled pan. Get that flashlight out of the way. And so we're supposed to let it sit now for an hour. And while that's going on, we've got the oven preheating to 450 degrees. And see how it turns out. So we've waited our half an hour or an hour. We covered up the bread with the tin foil. I've preheated the oven to 450 degrees. And we're just going to place this in the oven. So it says to bake it for 30 minutes and then take the cover off and bake it for another 30 minutes. So hopefully it'll work out. So half an hour has expired. We're going to pull this out and take off the tin foil. And put it back in for another half hour. Doesn't look like it's really baking all that fast, but it does look good. Well, the time is up. So now is a moment of truth. Shut off the stove, or the oven rather. Actually, just a second. I'm going to put that in the off position. Gotta be really careful here because Todd doesn't have. Ooh, look at that! Look at that, eh? Holy jeez, that is awesome. I think I'm gonna put a little piece of wood down just so that we can. I'm just gonna refocus this guy here on the boat bread. It says to allow it to cool for half an hour, and that's what we're going to do. So we've let this cool down. Now it's time to see what what we've produced. Slides right out. Time to get the knife. Now that's a knife. And see what we've got in here. Oh yeah. Look at that. Nice and fluffy. Now that's boat bread.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And come along to our next adventure.
I'm sailing, sailing down that river, sailing down that river of dreams. I'm sailing down that river, but it seems that I don't know where I'm going. But when the day is through, I'll come back home